Hello again, 400 students. Here we are in week 4 already. It's amazing how quickly things are flying by. But here is your weekly rundown of what we are going to be looking at this week. So, in this most recent week, I asked you to read a chapter in what every middle school teacher should know and learn about the history of middle school, how we transition from a focus on secondary schools to junior highs to middle school, and hopefully you were able to identify the components of middle schools and how they're different from junior highs, because that's really important, and hopefully that aligns well with what you read during week 1 in This We Believe from AMLE. So hopefully we're starting to see some of those connections, and this week we're going to dive a little bit deeper and look at another sort of connections, and it's the motivation for middle schools and how they are responsive to the needs of middle school students and young adolescents. So when we talk about the needs of middle school students, there's lots of different needs that we can be talking about. Middle school students, they're developing at this rapid pace and in so many different ways. A lot of you have identified these different elements in your responses and the key takeaways from the podcast we listened to. So this week we're going to look at 4 different elements of how young adolescents are developing during this age, and this is the essential question that I want you to be thinking about. Are you ready? So how are middle schools designed to be responsive to the developmental needs of young adolescents during middle school? So we're going to look at 4 different areas. We're going to look at the physical development of middle school students, of young adolescents. We're going to look at the brain growth and cognitive development of young adolescents. We're going to look at the social development of young adolescents and how they interact with peers and the world around them. And then finally, the emotional development and the identity regarding young adolescents during this age bracket. Now, that's a lot of information, and rather than have you read 4 chapters out of the book, we're going to do a little divide and conquer using a format called a jigsaw. So, take a look at the jigsaw. You're going to notice that the 4 pieces of the jigsaw together make up a bigger picture. Well, it's kind of an abstract picture here, but you get the idea. But the key idea is that the 4 pieces work in concert. They work together. They overlap and connect to one another and interact in order to put together the big picture, as a jigsaw normally would. So what we're going to do is a jigsaw. This is an instructional strategy that I want to share with you. We're going to practice it, and I want you to be thinking about this as future ways to collaborate with your groups of middle school students. So what we do is we take the big piece, the big picture, and we break it down into 4 individual pieces. So the big idea of the development of young adolescents, we're breaking into these 4 categories: the physical, the brain growth and cognitive side, the social side, and the emotional development side. And what I'm going to ask is that each group of 4, sometimes 5 individuals are going to take a piece of that. So what I've done is I've created a nice little matrix of everybody's names and assigned you to different groups. So for example, group 1 has a group of people in it. Out of that group, 1 person is going to be responsible to read the physical development chapter. Another person is going to be responsible for reading the brain growth and cognitive development chapter. The 3rd person is going to be looking at the social side, and the 4th person is going to do the emotional side. Now, each of you is going to be is going to take the role of expert in your area and is going to be responsible for sharing the key ideas of your chapter, your theme, your topic with the other members of your group. But you're not going to do that alone, because what I'm going to ask is that everybody who has the yellow chapter, which is the physical development, all of you are going to read the chapter individually, take some notes on it, and then post those to a discussion board that's only for the yellow group. I've got discussion boards set up this week by individual groups. So you can help each other say, oh, these are my key ideas, here are your key ideas, and I see the other people in my group, it's like 6 people per chapter, are looking at each of these pieces, and you can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, make sure that you're highlighting the really important parts. So maybe I'm reading mine and I see what's important, but then somebody else in the group is reading that chapter and they're like, oh, I think this is important. So maybe it's something to consider. Once you've done all that, you're going to take your information and you're going to create a one-page handout, visually appealing because we're aiming towards middle school. We're practicing our skills of condensing, consolidating information, highlighting important details, and you're going to put it in a one-page, single-sided, visually appealing handout that then you are going to submit to me and I will distribute to your classmates. Or everybody in your group. So you're going to take that handout, and at the bottom of it, you're going to include a tiny URL, a link to a YouTube video that you're also going to create. One of the things I've tried to model and we've talked about being important is multiple modalities of learning and sharing information. So you're going to have this one-page handout, but you're also going to create a 2 to 3 minute YouTube video that highlights the key ideas. Now, there's going to be some definite overlap. Think of this Venn diagram as having a good portion of overlap, but this video is not just you reading the handout. There should be a little bit on the handout that's not necessarily covered in the video, and a little bit on the video that's not covered on the handout. So it's two pieces overlapping a lot, both on your topic, that you're going to be able to share with your classmates. We're going to use these handouts and videos next week, but we're going to create them this week. So you're going to do all of that, focusing on this content. Now, there's one last piece to this part of the project, and that is an assessment. We're going to start talking about how to develop good assessments for the products that we create. So I have two handouts for you to read. One is, they're both on multiple choice questions. Multiple choice is really common, but I see it done so poorly so frequently. So we're going to spend a little bit of time this week looking at how to make really good multiple choice questions and assessments. So you're going to create a 5-question multiple choice assessment on your handout/video. It's something that if you were to share that video and handout with me, I could watch the video, read the handout, and then answer these 5 questions and be successful. But these questions should be well designed and well crafted. So in order to help you understand how to make good multiple choice questions, I've given you 2 handouts. One's from the University of Texas at Austin, and it's part of a handout from a workshop that they presented. And it talks about like the value of multiple choice questions and the do's and the don'ts, giving you some really good examples and samples to align with what you're doing. The second handout is just, I think, 2 pages, and it's from Brigham Young University, and it's a handout with like the 14 rules of multiple choice questions, and it says do this, do this, do this, do this. Really good, condensed, great handouts, resources that you can file away for next time when you're creating a multiple choice assessment, and you're going to put all that together. So you are going to create the 1-page handout, the 2 to 3 minute YouTube video with the link on that handout, and 5 multiple choice questions. All of that's going to get sent to me. The handout and the 5 questions. You won't send the YouTube link to me directly because it's going to be put as a tiny URL in your 1-page handout. If you don't know what a tiny URL is, it's a great way to take a really long or complex web URL and shrink it down to something. tiny.url/ and then you can fill in the rest of it. So check that out. So you're going to do all of those things. If you have any questions, let me know on that assignment. There's one last piece, and it's really short. It's about like a 6-minute video on Bloom's taxonomy. I'm honestly not sure if you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. If you are, great. This is going to be a good refresher. If you're not, that's okay. This is going to be an introduction to it. It's a really, really important idea in education, and I need to make sure that we're able to use it. So watch the video. If you want more resources on it, or you're not sure what it is, you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can use this right away, let me know, and I can build that into future units. I need to try to be responsive to where you are, but I don't know where you are. So let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. We're going to do something different for office hours this week. Rather than me just being available from 1 to 3, On Wednesday, I feel like that's probably not the best time because I haven't had anybody from this class show up yet. I'm just going to do it by appointment this week. I'm going to be in my office some of the week. I'm going to be at home working, and we can Zoom. Just let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a marvelous week, a great day. We've got a long weekend. So enjoy your Monday if you're going to take it off, or use it as a great opportunity to work hard and get ahead. Looking forward to seeing what you're coming up with.